Well, just a quick video today before I'll head over to the karting event initiated by Noah Ada and done by VCO in Dortmund tonight alongside the expo. Anyway, what I wanted to show is actually a takeaway from all the coachings that I do, and there are very typical mistakes that always repeat, so we're just going to look into one of these mistakes today, and that is going to be what I call being lazy, or maybe it's not even lazy, because you as a driver, you probably also always feel very occupied while driving and not ever lazy, but you might just be happy about that one corner and you're kind of mentally preparing for the next corner, but at the same time you are forgetting that there could actually be something done before the next corner to get you through that one a little quicker. And what I mean is, especially in these corners that we would call connected corners, so where there's very little time and space between two consecutive corners, like here, turn 1 and 2 on Nürburgring, or turn 3 and 4, or also turn 5 and 6. They are all pretty much corners that are connected and where one corner depends on the other. Or let's say the entry of the second corner in a row always depends on the exit of the first corner in such a sequence. And what I want to show you is just the lap time difference you'll see when you are lazy in one corner, or between the corners you're a bit lazy and not repositioning aggressively, and how much there is to gain when you are. So let's warm up the tire a bit and then do a couple flying laps. And excuse me if we're not going for the world record here. Just while talking, the only guy who can actually handle that is Ellen, who's going to drive the Pro Series tonight, by the way, so watch that. And we're driving the Essen with the exact same setup that I've just been using recently when sharing the car with Niklas Huben in the Rennwelten series. Just that the car is now 40 kilograms heavier than it is in the series, because now everybody's applying custom BOP, which is really a great thing coming out of the community here. So slam down the gears right around the 100-meter board, be aggressive in turn 1, and now we're just going to be a bit lazy here for turn 2, okay? So shallow entry into this one because we didn't reposition properly. Have to wait a long time to go onto the throttle. We do the same thing here again, okay? To the inside. Now we see the corner. Okay, we're happy. Just go straight here a bit. Have to lift now for that corner to still get to the inside. And again, wait a long time for the exit to come and to put the power down. Same thing here. Get the car in. Slightly wide, but not reposition. Have a shallow entry. Wait a long time to put the power down. And that's already what I want to show you. We're going to have this again in 3-4 corners when we go onto the, well, pretty much the back straight here. Where the repositioning, or the aggressive repositioning, or the not being lazy, whatever you want to call it, is just going to be an important factor for lap time. And there are several tracks where this will apply. We can have a look at Kalami afterwards. And now here we're just going to be happy we got that corner done. Reposition to the middle. And now we have a long time to wait. We're stuck on the inside before we go back onto the power. I might be exaggerating this here a bit, okay? You might not do it to this extent, but you will still see those differences when we do the fast lap now afterwards. So let's finish that lap kind of cleanly, almost a rear stepping out. And we're going to have something over 40 or 54 low with half a tank, and now just be a little more aggressive in our repositioning and the braking for that matter. Got that corner done, but now don't be lazy. Keep positioning. Wider entry into this one. Carry more speed, earlier throttle, much higher exit speed. And do the same thing here again. Just stay to the inside, open up, throw it in, much shorter lift, much earlier power application, much more exit speed, and you can see how much the delta is already dropping. Follow that principle one more time here. Reposition, wide entry, probably too wide, but early exit, early power, sorry, allowing us to carry speed onto the straight. So this is where you see really where the lap time is coming from. Bit deep into this one, we still get it pointed somehow. Of course, yes, the tire is going to be ever so slightly better in the second flyer than the first, but we can ignore this here. I'm not fully pushing into the tire, I'm just focusing on doing the line. And then same thing here, just more aggressive repositioning now, very much to the outside, much more speed, much earlier throttle. And that is really what everybody means when they tell you in a track guide, be early on power. But it doesn't help just putting the throttle down, you have to be in a position for that actually to be possible. And that only works if you do the positioning correctly and aggressively. And let me finish this up, little focus here. And that's actually a very decent lap time, I have to say, with 40 kilograms of extra ballast compared to what we did the race this week, and half a fuel tank. So I had this recorded with the Popometer tool running, which you can download yourself as well. It's free to use, free to compare to your own laps. Only if you want to compare to a pro or anybody else, there is a paywall, okay? So let's head over to the tool and load up the laps. All right, so I've loaded up both laps now. Just quick overview what we're really looking at. We have the track map on the right side where we have all the input data on the left, right? So we have the delta developing between the two laps in terms of time. We see the speed traces, we see the steering traces, we see the throttle and brake input, can have a look at whether or not TC or ABS are engaging. We can even have a look at how much slip the tires do have. It's a bit of an advanced chart you only get with a subscription. We can take a look at the turbo boost of the car, if there was a different brake bias setting, and we can get a good impression of what the differential of the car does, how individual the rear tires are spinning, which is also quite useful for kind of advanced analysis. We will, for this one, only really focus on the line. So the first thing we're going to look at is turn 1 and 2. So we'll just click on that shortcut here, and we're going to see the speed difference here, where you can tell, well, this is probably not that much. We can't even see the second line, but we can see huge differences here on track in where the car really was on the right side here. So just to highlight this as good as we possibly can, let's make so you see the fast lap is the solid line. The slower lap, where I did the wrong line, is the bit of a transparent one. Maybe it's too transparent even, right? So this one. So let's just see where the time actually fades away. Let's see for turn 1, breakpoint seems very similar. There's a bit of waiting there, trail braking very similar. The downshift's been more aggressive, all good. Not really a time change here in turn 1, okay? That was just a couple hundreds. But where you see the majority of time drop is coming in is going into turn 2 here, okay? So coming from the wider line by more aggressively repositioning here between the two corners, and you can see this in the steering column as well, here where I just keep turning more aggressively over there to the other side, a little harsher. Put the car over to the side and then throw it in from a wider outside position. If we really zoom in, you would be able to tell, well, there's probably a little over a car width between the two cars. So we really made a 2, 3, 4 meter gain in terms of position to enter that corner. And that allows us to carry much more speed into the turn, because we're also doing a bigger radius on which the car can drive at a faster speed. And then we just move forward here a bit. You can see all the time gain in this case really is just into the corner, and there is not a lot coming on the exit here additionally to that. Let's just jump to turn 3 and 4, and there we really see the same pattern. Green means we are gaining time. Okay, so initially entering the corner, yes, I was a bit more aggressive. Maybe I gained a tiny bit there too. But then the main thing was that I stayed further to the left here, okay? Opening up that right hander, being more aggressive in my positioning, not being as lazy between the two corners. And that alone, you'll see, is going to cause major differences. So on the brake, there's a difference of 2/10 between the cars. And you can see even I'm losing a bit of time here because the repositioning, of course, forces me to go a bit slower, to take a bit of a wider line, which means I travel more distance. Of course, that costs a bit of time. So we're losing a couple hundreds here even compared to where we started. But then see where the advantage really starts to kick in. And let's zoom out a little and you can see the green line keeps going and going and going and going. And from those 2/10 we were down entering the corner here, turn 4, we are going to gain a little over 1.5 tenths just on the straight afterward. And it just keeps climbing. If we keep zooming out, you see the delta keeps growing up until the next breaking point. So where you're really losing the time is all this area here, the entire straight after 10.4 is where you're going to lose a lot of lap time if you are not aggressive in repositioning the car, right? That's why it's so important. It's one of the key tips really to improve your lap times. Let's do the same thing for turn 5 and 6. You can see I've done the same pattern here where we just reposition more aggressively to the outside, really focus on what is important, which is the straight afterwards. And we can see the same thing here in the delta chart, just entering the corner quicker because we're coming from a wider position, allowed to drive a wider radius, which means more speed. And if you look at the speed chart, we're 5 to 8 kilometers up here in the corner. And we keep that advantage alive up until the next breaking point, right? It just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. And there is nothing you can do as a driver on the straight. So all important thing is often the exit, which you often get a better one if you reposition more aggressively between the corners. Let's jump a bit further here just to turn 10, 11. And then I've already showed it to you all, and I've probably given you enough, or I hope I've given you enough evidence. You can kind of repeat that on every track. Barcelona turn 1, 2, 3. It's going to be between 4 and 5 even to some degree if you're not aggressive there. It's going to be on Kyalami a lot. There's a lot of connected corners there as well. And probably if you think of any other track that doesn't have a long straight between two corners, then probably this will apply. Think of Misano, a lot of corners behind one another, and it's very crucial to focus on the right part of the track and to keep repositioning, keep working the car into a better spot on the track that gives you lap time. So into turn 10 then here, I think I drove as similar as I could here on the brake. The speed doesn't differ too much. On the exit, okay, slight differences there, but we're talking a couple hundreds. But the main difference, again, is going to be the repositioning, which is more than the full car width that I'm using extra just by being a tiny bit more aggressive there. And that, again, will mean, zooming out a bit again, that we are carrying more speed into the turn. You can see where it really starts to pay off is after kind of the middle of the corner. That's when suddenly our speed and position advantage is going to start playing a role. So we started coming into this section with 5.5 tenths down, and then we're exiting the section here. And you see the delta keeps climbing, and then we move further and further and further. And we zoom out, and the delta keeps still climbing pretty much until the next breaking point, where we are going to be 7.5 tenths down, right? So we started at 5.5 tenths down, and suddenly we're talking 7.5 tenths down, and that is only the repositioning. So I'm just trying to highlight how crucial that is, okay? Just never be lazy on the track. Never take your time, never take a breath, so to say. You have the straight to take breath, but between the corners, keep working the car, keep putting yourself in a better position. And then, of course, head over to the website, get a data pack, or there's a couple groups you can join with a subscription where I recorded, for example, laps with the Ferrari on all tracks, which will allow you to, sorry, I'm just loading it up for you to see. So there is a team. We just go to the teams list, and then you can find that team aggressive preset laps, where I have set a lap in the Ferrari on all tracks with aggressive preset. So you have lines for comparison there, or you go for the CD8 data subscription, who have, I think, 500, 600 data packs uploaded to our website, so you can compare to what the CDA drivers are doing. Then just make sure that to double check, are you doing the right compromises? Are you aggressive enough between the corners? And or are you throwing lap time away by just being a little too happy if you figured one corner out, and then you're not in a good position for the next one? So I hope that's a takeaway of the video. Don't be lazy, and then we'll see you very soon. Bye.